I don't expect the level of prices to go down.
You guys know who that lady is? That's Janet Yellen. She's the Secretary of the Treasury for the United States government. She is in charge of the Treasury, and she was the chairman of the Federal Reserve from 2014 to 2018. So one could say she knows a little bit about the economy. I don't know if you're aware, but she testified not too long ago in front of the Senate, and some of the things she had to say are darn right scary for people that want to retire in the near future, or people who have recently retired, or anyone that's retired for that matter, especially if you're living week to week, month to month on Social Security. What's up, guys? My name is Greeny. I actually retired in the year 2000, and things are getting downright scary for retirees when it comes to this economy, when it comes to inflation. I'm going to tell you why. Actually, she's going to tell you why. Like I said, she recently testified in the Senate, and she was questioned by Senator Kennedy. I'm going to play a little bit of the exchange for you, and I got some comments to make about it. And I don't think it's going to make any potential retirees happy.
These high prices are here to stay, aren't they?
But the rate of inflation...
So they're here to stay.
Well, some prices will be higher than they were before the pandemic and will stay higher, but wages have risen considerably, and the pace of price increases has now receded. Over the last 6 months, the measure of inflation the Fed focuses on has been running exactly at
But if your wages...
wages are going up.
If you don't get a pay raise, you're screwed. It'll take a recession to get these prices down.
Well, we don't have to get the prices down.
We
Because
don't?
wages are going up, and a metric that is worth knowing is that the median American house worker
But let me stop you
is
because I'm going
able
to get cut
to
off.
buy
You don't
the-
think we need to get these prices down? You think it's okay that bacon's up 20% under President Biden? Chicken's up 23.5%. Coffee's up 30%. Gas is up 44%. New cars and trucks are up 20% because people can't afford that's used cars because people can't afford a new car. They're up 24% under Bidenomics. You don't think we need to get these prices?
Wages are also up, and wages are up
They're
more.
not up 24%. They're not up 27%. They're not up 23%. They're not up 31%.
I'm sorry, but what is...
People are really getting good at barely getting by.
What is true is that the median worker in the United States, if you compare today with 2019, can buy the same basket of goods with $1,400 left over to save or spend. So Americans, on average, are better off in spite of the fact that the level of prices is higher.
So I don't know if you get the gist of what she said, but what I make out of it as a retiree is we're just an afterthought. Retirees, people on pensions, people on Social Security. Actually, we're no thought at all. All she's focused on is the middle class and the working people. And why that is that they don't want there to be any Social Security. They want you to have to work forever. There may be no Social Security when some people get to that age. You can see from what Senator Kennedy said, inflation has skyrocketed prices. I got some information here I'm going to read to you in a second. I talked to one of the smartest people I know. I interviewed them, and I'll let you know what they had to say in a second. But you can see inflation is just going crazy through the roof. And what are they doing with Social Security? If you collect Social Security, if you're living on Social Security, you're getting a 3.2% bump. That's it. They haven't had a bump in years, and just one 3.2% bump. What's that going to do? Can you afford to live on Social Security? Can you afford to be retired? Me personally, I receive a pension. And I'm fine, don't worry about me. I have some other investments and whatnot, but some people don't. And I know guys that are retired law enforcement officers from like the 70s and 80s that have a pension that has no COLA, cost of living allowance. So it's a pension, and sure, it was pretty good in 1975, 1985, 1995 when these guys received their pension. But now with this sudden boom in inflation, they can barely make ends meet. And if you want to be retired, it's going to be very difficult to do that unless you have some investments, rental property, some other form of income besides relying on what you were expecting to get from the government. And it's not a government hand down. You've been putting money into this your whole life. I've been putting money into Social Security my whole life. If you have a pension, that's part of the contract you made with your employer. Most people contribute to the pension system. So that's a lot of your money you're getting back that's been invested for you. You're expecting that. Can you live on that? Do you got to go back to work? It's funny, lately I've been getting more and more messages from guys and comments that they want to retire, but they can't. They're just in no position to do that. So people are going to be working longer, working older, continuing to have to work until who knows how old? 65, 75, 80? Who knows? Anyways, I had a little interview with one of the smartest people I know, and I asked it a few questions. You hear how I said it? One of the smartest people I know, ChatGPT. I asked some questions. I just want to read this little interview I did with ChatGPT. I love interviewing ChatGPT. So I said, I want to ask you a few questions about the United States economy. ChatGPT, of course, feel free to ask your questions about the U.S. economy. Can you tell me the 10 most common expenditures a person in the United States has on a monthly basis? ChatGPT, sure. The exact breakdown can vary depending on the individual's lifestyle, location, and financial situation. However, there are 10 common monthly expenditures for many people in the United States. Rent or mortgage payments, utilities, food, transportation, health insurance, debt payments like credit cards, student loans, etc., child care, education expenses, entertainment and leisure activities, and savings and investments. So I state to ChatGPT, can you tell me what percentage of the cost of each of these expenditures has risen from 2009 to the present? ChatGPT, I can provide you with some general information, but please note that the exact percentages can vary based on location, lifestyle, and other factors. Blah, blah, blah. There's always a caveat. So let's go through what some of these costs have risen by because of inflation. Rent and mortgage payments. They're saying from January 2019 to January 2020, that has increased 7.6%. And that's going to 2020. So that's, what, a year and a half ago already? Over a year ago? Food, 8.6%. Takeaway food, 9.3%. Transportation, gasoline has increased by 52.2%. Overall, items related to transportation is increased by 21.6%. Health insurance and medical expenses, 15.7%. Insurance, 16.3%. And they're only doing it till January of 2022. I don't know why they're only going that far. Maybe it's made a big jump and they don't want to tell me about it. Debt payments, 16.3%. Child care, 16.3%. Entertainment and leisure costs, another 16.3%. And savings and investments, 16.3%. Well, I'll tell you what, since 2019, my investments haven't changed at all. Exactly the same. I just checked. I make bad investments though, so don't count me as part of that. So what does this mean? If you've been planning on a certain revenue stream, a certain income stream in retirement, and now everything's increased 15, 20, 25%, and you just got a 3% raise in your Social Security, where does that leave you? I mean, you probably got to keep working. I mean, you may not be able to retire. Like I said, if you're just on a pension and there's no cost of living allowance, you're still making the same. And the world's costing 25% more than it did before. So how can people survive? I mean, I just don't know what the answer is. I don't know what the answer is. They want people to keep working. That's what it comes down to. So what solutions do we have? Number one, like I said, if you're a youngster watching this, which you probably aren't because this channel is kind of based to retirees and retirement planning and living abroad, that type of thing, you better start saving money. Bank away as much money as you can. Max out your 401k. That's what I always tell people. Invest in property, real estate. Real estate's always a good investment, especially land. Like land's never going to disappear. Look at Bill Gates. He keeps buying as much farmland as he can. Another thing you can do, and which kind of is saving me at this very moment from struggling, is I just didn't know that this is going to happen, that there's going to be a pandemic and that inflation's going to boom. Is it related to the pandemic or not? I don't know. Might have been planned out. Who knows? But I moved abroad and, I pay a very low amount for food. You know, the rent is cheap here in Thailand. Everything is cheaper except for a car and gas. That's not cheap. But most of my overall costs are far less than they would be in the United States. In fact, every time I go home now, whether it be for 6 weeks, 5 weeks, 4 weeks, like it seems like it's getting less every time because I just cannot handle paying $25 for a cheeseburger and a little pint of beer. It's insane. I mean, it cost me $5 for that here, $6 maybe. So save your money. And if you're thinking about retirement, you better get savvy because you're going to need that savviness in the future. Just a little food for thought. I'm Greeny. If you enjoy this type of content, make sure you follow and subscribe to my channel. Greeny out.